Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond the Broomstick, that podcast that opens up opportunities and possibilities that spirituality can bring to you in your everyday life, whilst removing the woo-woo that we see on social media these days. Welcome. If we haven't met before, my name is Matilda. I am a professional psychic medium here in Australia with close to 20 years experience, not only connecting those that have passed over with their loved ones, but also guiding people through spirituality with psychic guidance and helping people get the best out of their own energy. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the massive systemic change that is happening globally and how we are learning the lessons both globally and personally, and how to spot those lessons that we need to learn. In addition, I'll be giving some extra predictions at the end of the podcast and touching on some of the things that I have predicted that have come in and how they've still got to play out in the future. Because sometimes the prediction isn't the end of it. I'm also going to be talking about the difference between personal predictions and global predictions, because there is a difference. A lot of people assume that a prediction is a prediction and it has to happen. So we're going to be talking about that in a little bit more detail. But as always, first of all, I'm going to thank my recent paid Patreon members. If you don't know about Patreon, pop along to the show notes and there will be a link there for my Patreon. It is a platform that I add extra content to. You can join for free, where you get to see some of my content. I load up my lives from TikTok, etc. And there are extra benefits depending of your level of membership. I just want to highlight one of the membership tiers that I have recently started, which is the Metaphysical Mavens. It is a tier that is set up for those working in the spiritual field and allowing us to work together in a way that supports each other. Along with that, you will get some advertising on my newsletter. There will be opportunities to promote your business. There will be group chats, coffee mornings, that sort of thing, so we can all get together and talk about the facts of running a business as a metaphysical specialist, including business ideas. I am happy to help people in this industry, help promote them, help them work with ethics. I will be running an ethical training program as part of the membership, just so that we can start to have a little bit of, I'm really looking to bring people into line with what ethics are and help others promote their business, get good at the business side of things. I have been doing mediumship psychic readings for 20 years. I've always been a psychic medium, so for me, I can't offer the training because it's so inherent in myself, but what I can offer is the ability for those to learn from my experience in running a business and having people to talk to, turn to. We at times get very difficult clients. Doesn't happen very often, but sometimes we do. We get our energy depleted. We can do things like group meditation. We can help promote each other. And I am very lucky to have a large platform. I'm very lucky to have a very successful business. And it is a business. I am the commodity for that business, but it is a business. And helping each other is one way that I can help grow other people and support other metaphysicians. I've always said this, as long as you are working ethically, and as long as you are staying within the guidelines that are doing what we do should be, I will help promote you. There is no competition because the people that need you will find you and will be drawn to you for that reading. So it's a way that we can work collaboratively to support each other. So that is the Metaphysical Mavens on my Patreon. Again, pop along to the show notes and the link will be there. And I will be starting to add some content to that level during the next week. For those of you that don't know about Patreon, it's a great platform. It allows me to add extra content. There's a few different levels. As I said, pop along to the show notes and you will find that. But I'm going to give my shout outs to my new paid members. I am grateful for everyone that joins my Patreon, whether you are a paid member or, as I say, you can join for free and access the free content that I put up there so you don't miss any lives, etc. But there are several levels or a few levels for you to join. So my wonderful new paid Patreon members, Jenna, Mandy Urquhart, Noreen Blackstone, who has upped her pledge to a yearly pledge, Teresa Marie, Carly Powell, Charlie A., who again joined on a yearly basis, Banana, Amy, Melita, Katrina Elia, who pledged a yearly amount, Jackie, Nora Martinez, Nicola T., Chris, Christine, and Kimberly Carter, who upped her pledge to a yearly amount. Thank you so much. You guys rock. You make this possible for me. You make it possible for me to keep doing what I'm doing and bring extra content to everyone. It's been a trying week for me. I'm going to be honest with you. I have tried to record this podcast I don't know how many times. The amount of people that have decided to telephone me, to ring me, has been astronomical. I had a guest stay this weekend, so obviously recording was going to be difficult. I got struck by a migraine, so had to shuffle some stuff. I don't get them very often, but when I get hit by them, I get hit by them, so there's no point me even trying to do readings. So I'm a bit behind the eight ball, so I apologise that this podcast is a couple of days late. I think it's a couple of days late, or if not, a couple of hours late, but we are behind. And I think it's just giving me a bit of a kick up the backside to try and set my schedule and have more control over my schedule. I have a new assistant who started work for me this weekend, actually. And that's going to make life a lot easier. And I have a researcher who is going to start very soon now. Don't panic, not researching people. They're actually going to be working through the spreadsheet that I have of all of the videos and predictions that I have made. So many of you will have found me on my podcast from my social media where I make world predictions. A lot of them happen. I've got a very high strike rate for predictions. I'm very lucky to have such a good communication with my spirit guides who give me world predictions that come in. And it's time for me to actually delve into all of that information so that we can start putting some videos together to show the accuracy. I haven't been able to do that for a long time because of time constraints. So new research is starting to do that, and that's going to be great. But whilst we're on the topic of predictions, I want to talk about how there is a massive difference between personal predictions and world predictions. All of the information comes from the same source. They come from my spirit guides and my intuition, all of that combined. And I am given information that allows me to decipher them. Now, it is all in the translation. So how I translate that information, and over years and years and years of working with my spirit guides and understanding the messages and understanding the symbols, the pictures, the words that I get, and mixing them all together. And sometimes they're accurate and sometimes they can be off. It can be a day off, it can be a week off, it can be a month off. Timing is very, very loose when it comes to spirit. And how I translate that time is by seeing a circle on the calendar or by the images they give me for the time of year. So sometimes I will get pumpkins for Halloween. That's the easiest one for me to explain. I will get Christmas decorations or that feeling of Christmas for Christmas time, December. And because I have a global audience and because I make global predictions, sometimes it can be skewed because we have to remember that my summer is the Northern Hemisphere's winter. I'm often a day, well, I am always often, don't know what I'm thinking, Matilda. I'm a day ahead. So for instance, I recently made a prediction, and remember I've made lots and lots and lots of Trump predictions. So if you ever want to know where my predictions are, you need to go open up my profile on TikTok. If you open up the profile, you will see at the top of the profile, there are playlists. And what I've done is I've put things in different playlists. Some of them are in the right playlist, some of them aren't. And sometimes I make 2 or 3 videos. I have 2 or 3 different predictions for different areas in videos. So you do have to fish around a little bit. I've worked out now, as I've been on TikTok a lot longer, to try and keep areas very separate in videos. So I won't put a Europe prediction in with a US prediction, etc. But you just have to bear with me with the old videos. And I've made a lot of Trump predictions. And I did say last year that May, before this date was even called for his hush money election interference case, I called that May was going to be a very difficult month for him and he was not going to be very happy. And a lot of other predictions that I made regarding Trump, his initial arrest, his initial investigation, the raid on his house, all of that, I made those predictions over the last couple of years. But a lot of people were asking me what I saw the outcome of the New York case. And I made a video and said, I see the decision coming down very, very late in the day, like at the end of the day on Friday. And I saw him actually being found guilty of around 14, not the whole amount, because I actually didn't know how many indictments he had, to be fair. And a lot of people that understand psychics and understand predictions, etc., understand that we don't get all the information. But then there's the odd person that will come on and go, you got it wrong. Well, I didn't, but I did. And I'm always one of those people that will go, you know what, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And there are a lot of things that I wish to God I was wrong on. The natural disasters, the earthquakes, the deaths, the destruction. I wish to God that I was wrong on all of those things. Okay? But sometimes I'm right and I don't like it. I don't. But the Trump one, it happened very late in the day. The decision came down from the jury. It was my Friday morning. So remember, I'm deciphering stuff that I get from my spirit guides. And it was 34 that he was found guilty of. There are a couple of ways you can interpret that. I was shown the number 14 and assumed it was the amount. But I feel that he will appeal and some of them will be squashed. That's not me saying, oh no, that I have to make it right, but we have to keep an open mind. So that's why sometimes it doesn't play out exactly as I have seen it or shown it. It is very much down to the interpretation of the information I'm given. And another question that I get asked quite a lot is around the fact that personal predictions and world predictions are two very, very different things. For those of you that have been following me for a long time, know that I do offer, and I've taken a bit of a break from them because they are quite exhausting. I offer a 10 event reading, which is done on email. And I will give you 10 events. They are not life-changing events. They are very different, obscure things that you will see and that will happen to you over a 2 or 3 year period. I always have been told that about 7 of them come in. So it's like, I say it's a 50-50 thing, but they are so obscure that they cannot be misinterpreted. And those are just images that I am shown by spirit. So for instance, I may be shown, and I'm going off memory of maybe 1 or 2 that I've done in the past. You will find a jumper that has orange stripes and it will mean a specific thing to you. Okay. That's just, or you will see a pig walking down a street. Those are images that I am shown by spirit guides when I call in information for you. A lot of people love these readings. The issue with that is it doesn't take any choices on your part for those to happen. They are just there to prove that spirit exists. They're not going to be life-changing. They're not going to be something that you can go left or right and the prediction is going to change. And that is those 10 event type reading things. When you have a personal reading with me and we're looking at free will, and somebody may be asking, it's a very common question I get asked, when am I going to meet the love of my life? And I will get images of somebody that is likely to come in for you. Spirit will tell me about somebody, who they are, what they do, how you will meet them, information about them. But what they will not do is give me a timing, because often there is free will on your part, not theirs, your part. And that free will includes making aligned choices and aligned actions in order to meet someone. That doesn't go to say, oh, I'm going to tell you you're going to meet someone in Starbucks and you have to go to Starbucks every day. But many people that ask when they're going to meet the love of their life are actually not even dating. They're not even leaving the house. They're not even putting themselves out there, nor have they done the work on themselves to know that they are deserving of a partner. They may have had a bad relationship or have negative feelings about themselves or feel as if they're not worthy or not have the confidence to date, yet they want that. So I can see someone and an image of them. I am shown by spirit who or around them, what they may do for work or what's going on in their life. But until you're ready to meet someone and start working on your own inner self-love, and I'll talk about that in a second, because it's not a case of if you don't love yourself, you're not going to meet someone. It's a case of if you don't work on your self-love and your boundaries and your sense of self, then you could meet this person and it's not going to work because you're not in a good space to accept the love, and your insecurities are going to shine through, or your confidence isn't there. That all plays a part in it. So that's why I don't offer email readings, because there is a sense of this is what your guides want you to know in order for you to get to the position that you want to be in and be ready for that relationship that's going to go to the next level. So personal predictions, as in certain things that you're working towards and working on your energy to bring that in, is so important. So the energy work and the reminding yourself about who you are and building your self-confidence and your self-love And working with the law of attraction to work on your positivity and your energy is going to bring the person that you want into your life. And people just assume that because I make world predictions that happen, that any prediction that I make for them should happen too. But it's all about the free will. That's your free will, not someone else's free will, to align you to have the best possible outcome for your life. We could make predictions left, right, and center, not just me, but other psychics. But if you are not in a place of receiving, it's not going to happen. During a personal reading, I could turn around to you and say, a house with a black door and a number 27 is going to be really important because I'm shown that. And that will happen 100%. But the personal choices that involve your free will are likely to be delayed until you're ready to accept them and do the aligned action that you need to do, which is why it's so important to listen to what your guides are telling you during a reading. It's never my opinion. It's always your guides or my guides trying to work really hard with your sense of self to put you in the best position possible. So that, as I said, is the difference between the world predictions or the remote viewing that I see or the 10 events that I used to do and will probably reintroduce again by the end of this year, and having a personal psychic reading with me because it's about the guidance to put you on the pathway that you need to be on. There's a lot of stuff that sometimes people aren't ready to hear it. And I've talked about this before, where people just want to know the answers. They just want the predictions. They're not willing to take on board all the other things that your guides are saying to you in order for it to be a very holistic reading. And if that doesn't suit you and you want to go to a cookie cutter reader, that's absolutely fine with me. But I am here and I work with my guides to help prepare, to help build resilience, to help everyone reach their goals. And everyone should have that opportunity to reach their goals. Unfortunately, due to some social conditioning, to the way that sometimes we are brought up, to our belief in ourselves, if you've come out of an abusive relationship or a toxic situation, or you haven't been able or taught to love yourself, or as if that is, it's not right to love yourself, then we can be behind the 8 ball a little bit, and the hard truths are hard to hear. And I always say that the lesson you are teaching is only as good as the ears that are ready to listen to them. And spiritual growth is just that. We have to be and want to be in a place of receiving in order for things to come in. And when I talk about self-love and when I talk about self-acceptance, it isn't a conditional thing that you are not deserving of something until you do that work. It's very much you need to start believing in yourself and who you are in order to accept what you are receiving. Again, when we have been through difficult times or we are conditioned in a certain way, we will repel things even though they're coming towards us. And that's why the law of attraction is so important and so incredible in getting us the life that we want. And if you don't know, I am running a law of attraction manifestation event. It does come with a workbook. It's on the 22nd of June, my time, which is very late in different areas of the world. But even if you book and cannot attend, you will be sent the recording afterwards. So you can still do the course. You don't necessarily have to attend it. It does change your life. It changed my life. And it really does bring in and teach you about the amount of energy that is out there that is negative, and the way that we can think negatively without even knowing about it. And there'll be some great tips and tricks to help people with that. I am not a psychologist, and I am not someone that can counsel anyone on trauma. I am purely someone that comes at it from a spiritual side in order to help you build the resilience against the trauma. People go through traumatic things on a regular basis. It's sad. I wish I had answers for it. But what I want to say is, the more you lean into the trauma, even if you're discussing it, even if you're talking about it all the time, I'm not talking about therapy. Therapy is a good thing. You should always continue with your therapy. But if you're using it in your everyday life as a reason not to do something, or this happened because that happened, you are never going to move forward and learn to bring in the positive energy. And so many people are identifying with their trauma, and instead of honoring it, knowing it was there, we are not saying it didn't happen, but we're using tools in order to make sure that that trauma doesn't affect you for the rest of your life. Again, these lessons are only as good as the ears that are ready to hear them. And some people just aren't. And that's okay too. But if you are, I would honestly recommend the Law of Attraction course for you. It's very cheap. It's about $40 AUD, which is about $25 American. Can't get my words out today. Those that know me know that sometimes is a struggle. But give it a go. Even if you don't do the course, start downloading some stuff on the Law of Attraction, because I promise you it is a life-changing experience. And whilst we're on the subject of lessons, let's talk about lessons that are being learnt at the moment on both a global level and on a personal level. Now, lessons are part of life, and often they will be repeated until we learn them. This can be in various things. It can be about our career, about our love life, about our relationship with others in general, and about ourselves. Mainly about ourselves and how we have fallen into patterns. A lot of people at the moment I am seeing are basically repeating patterns, but they're also sitting in the victimhood of life. And I made a video last year sometime saying that 2024 was the year of karma. Now, karma is good and it is bad. It plays out in private as well as in public. Obviously, when you're a public-facing figure, that can happen in public. But part of that is all about learning lessons, understanding where we can change in order for the good to come in. Often people that fall into a pattern of dysfunction in relationships fall into that pattern of continually bad relationships. They introduce people that are toxic into their life because they don't know any different. And the lesson there is about what you are deserving of. And until you know it, you will have the same lesson pop up. You may be in a relationship with someone for 5 years that is on, off, on, off, on, off, and you think that this person must love you because they keep coming back. That isn't always the case. The case can be that one or both of you have to learn the lesson in order for you to either break away or stick together. And that's a two-part thing. But why should you tolerate bad behavior? Because someone else needs to learn a lesson. So your lesson is often to trust the process and walk away in order for you to introduce the energies that you need. One of the biggest lessons that I learned in my life is, and this is very personal, I was going through a really rough time. It was about 15 years ago. My mum was terminally ill. I never had a very good relationship with my mum, but I still went and looked after her for however long it took, knowing that she was going to pass. During that time, I was offered a position in the UK that was a 6-month contract. And I came back to Australia, spoke to my, I was going through a divorce at the time, spoke to my ex-husband and my children, and they all said, go for it. It's a great opportunity. My children could fly out and spend time with me. We've always been a very global family because my ex-husband travelled extensively for work. So it was something that wasn't very, some people would say, oh, you shouldn't leave your children when they were teenagers for a start. It gave them a chance to bond with their father, but also it's not unusual for them to hop on a flight to visit either myself or their father. So it wasn't such an obscure idea. So I took this contract in the United Kingdom and moved over there. It was a huge opportunity for a new company that had gotten seed funding, and with a very well-known person. My background is an economist, but I work as a social economist, behavioural economist to build marketing, etc. So I moved over, I got myself an apartment. All things were great until 3 weeks into the contract, and they turned around and said, we're not ready for you. We're going to make you redundant. So I am stuck in the UK with no job and an apartment that I am financially obligated to. So I went and got another job, and I got one pretty much immediately. That ended after 2 weeks because I didn't like it, basically, and they didn't like me. And then I got another job that was a 6-week contract, and that happened. That was fine. And then I got another job, and that job didn't work out. And I really had to get the message that I was not in the place I needed to be in. And it was the universe putting those lessons in front of me that I had to put my big girl panties on and go back and grow my life in Australia, because I was essentially running away from the fact that I was going to be a single mum. I was scared. I had gotten divorced. I had lost my mum, all of those things. And I thought I could run away by taking this contract overseas. But the universe had other ideas for me. Came back to Australia, and I've never been happier. Never been happier in my life. So that was my lesson, but it kept presenting in a way that I had to learn. And that is what a lot of people are facing right now. This is the year where lessons, and next year is even bigger. 2025 is the year. It's a very spiritual year, but it's a year where a lot of karma is going to play out and a lot of lessons are going to be shown. So please be aware. Do your work on yourself so that you are ready and you can understand them when they are presented to you. Now, on a global level, we are at this time going through a massive systemic change. That change is very much aligned with sort of like the 1939 time, just at the start of World War II. Now, that's not to say that we're about to be faced with World War III. I've already explained what World War III, or how I see it playing out over the next couple of years. It's not the big mushroom cloud. It's not mass nuclear destruction. It's very subtle. It's not boots on ground. It is cyber attacks. It is shortages. It is food shortages. It is leaders becoming undone. But the global lesson is massive insofar that it is affecting and trickling down to people. And your part of it is not to sit wringing your hands and crying, but to learn how to face it. On a global level, the biggest lesson that is being learnt at the moment is regarding democracy, and knowing that it's not just about the leaders of a country that you need to vote for, but for those further down on the ballot. That is globally. It's not just the United States. The United Kingdom is going through a massive transformation at the moment. I've already predicted that I don't believe I have been shown that Rishi is not going to be the Prime Minister. Do I think that the Labour Party can take the United Kingdom to where it needs to go? No, I don't. I think there's a lot of lessons that the United Kingdom need to learn. And if anyone is interested in my look on that, there are videos on my social media, and I can do an in-depth review of that on my Patreon because I think it is a worthy thing to discuss. But the globe that is learning a lesson right now, there are over 30 general elections around the globe. That's massive. It is absolutely massive. And it's all about democracy this year, karma being played out, world leaders coming under strain and realizing that they cannot run things the way that they are. And again, we are faced with the East versus West. That is going to be an interesting thing to play out. But lessons are being learnt on the world stage, not just on a personal level. But it's a roll-on effect. So when these elections come out, it's a world lesson as to not so much which way you vote, but how you use your vote and how you use your voice. And so many people are sat there going, it doesn't matter which way we vote. Nothing gets done for us. Make it get done. Speak your voice. These people work for you. That's the lesson. They work for you and you need to have your voice heard. But if you don't use your voice and sit there going, oh my goodness, nothing's working out, then you have no right to recourse. So all of these lessons are being learnt over the next 2 years, including climate change, which is going to be massive over the next 18 months. So as I've always said, I am not here to save you, but I am here to help you to learn to deal with what you are faced with. And thank you for listening to that. It's a very tricky thing to try and get through to people that they are not powerless. And I try and empower people as much as possible. It doesn't matter how small fry you think you are, your voice is important. And that is the lesson. Making people accountable for what they do. And we're seeing it play out with what's happened with Trump. And that's going to get even more and more and more as we go through this year. He is not having a pleasant year, and he certainly isn't going to be president of the United States again. So before I get into the events that I see coming in and some of the stuff that Spirit has shown me, I'm going to talk about a reading that I did for somebody 12 years ago. This will give you an idea of how we are sometimes responsible for things coming in because of our own mindset. I did a reading for someone, 12 years ago, 2012, and the reading, as I've been told, I don't remember readings, but they contacted me and said, you did a reading when I was in my darkest days after the death of my mother. I turned to you for solace to know that she was around me and did not expect you to do two predictions, but I purely wanted to hear that my mum was okay. You not only gave me the peace that I needed and told me about the signs that she would give me, which I have received on a weekly basis, but told me that she was bringing in my future wife, but that I needed to work on my own sense of self and that I was too cocky for my own good. That was truly my mum's words because she used to tell me that all the time. You told me Italy would be relevant and very important, and that I was going to marry a girl called Catherine. She would have green eyes and a son with blonde curly hair. I'd really forgotten about that and gone in and out of various relationships for years. And about 5 years after our reading, I met a girl called Catherine. She had a son with blonde curly hair, and she had green eyes. My heart skipped a beat. It wasn't until I stopped being the arsehole that I was that I met the woman I was supposed to be with. I was never looking for marriage. I always wanted to be single and loved the fact that I could hop and skip from relationship to relationship. So when you told me I would get married, I laughed and really forgot about it. This weekend, we are getting married in Rome, Italy. I cannot thank you enough for all the peace you brought to me and my family over the years, and I had recommended you to my brother, my sister, my cousin, and my dad, who all had sensational readings with you. Thank you, Matilda. You brought me so much joy and taught me that I had to get over myself in order to accept the love that I was deserving of, just like my mum said. So it just goes to show that sometimes we see so far out, or we see things that are just within our reach, but we have to be accepting of them for them to happen. That was such a lovely review to receive after so many years. So what's going on in the world over the next couple of weeks? There is a lot of seismic activity, which you're probably already seeing. Today is Tuesday, the 4th of June. There's a lot of seismic seismic activity. There is also, I am seeing, currently I know of 2 volcanoes that are either about to or have just erupted, but I want to talk about one that is very, very old that is likely to go off. I feel in Indonesia or around that area. And I also feel like there is going to be seismic activity in Japan, quite large seismic activity. I also see a typhoon coming into that area at the moment as well. So it could well be a bit of a double whammy in Japan. I've already made this prediction, but I'm going to double down on it, that I feel that Rishi Sunak may well be ousted as the leader of the Conservative Party prior to the election. I feel that there is going to be a terrorist attack or threat of an attack in Europe coming in. I particularly wouldn't be around Paris the middle of June. It feels very uneasy in that area. And I would be watching out for a run of events that include gun violence in the USA. There may be a large event at a party music event. Now, I'm not talking about, before people start panicking, I don't feel, and I am not being shown like a big stadium event. I'm being shown more of a country fair in the Texas area. Or around sort of, that's the sort of feel I get around that. That's what I have for you at the moment. Oh, and I just want to mention Australia. I am being shown that there is going to be a problem with flights in Australia leaving Sydney. It's almost like the airport gets shut down, or there is a strike, or it could be baggage, something around delays with flights in Sydney, more than you would usually get. So if I'm telling you something, it's likely to be something that makes major news. It could even be a cyber attack. There is also going to be a run of cyber attacks on hospitals. I know there's already been one, but I feel like it's going to be a rolling attack. And there's a reason behind it that we're not aware of at the moment. Expect also something quite significant to happen regarding the Supreme Court. I'm not talking about Trump's case. I am talking about one of them getting seriously ill or in an accident, a member of the Supreme Court. That's about it for this week. Remember, I have the Law of Attraction course happening on the 22nd of June. Also in June, I have a group mediumship event, which is a 10-person event, Getting Quick. That is the only mediumship I have available until October. I have already released my August dates. They have already gone. I am having major surgery end of August, so I will be taking most of September off, and there will be no readings available until October unless you book an emergency reading that I release from time to time. So if you're interested in watching me work and being part of a group mediumship event, hop onto my website and book that. I think there's 5 spots left. That is later on in this month. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Don't forget to join me on Friday for the Sassy Seers podcast with the amazing Laurie Rivers. And that's about it. I will catch you on TikTok. I'm hoping to go live at some point this week, should I have time. And have a great week, everyone. Thanks for joining me.